Ryu was a warrior. He walked a lonely path. He sought only to become the strongest. His heart was pure. He trained his body and his mind. His fists were his tools. The world was his dojo. He fought many strong opponents, but a darkness followed him. It was a power called the Satsui no Hado. This was the murderous intent. It promised great strength, but it also promised great destruction. Ryu resisted this power. He fought against it every single day. He wanted to be a true martial artist, not a monster. His master was Gukun. Gukun was wise and powerful. He taught Ryu how to fight. He also taught him how to live. He showed Ryu the path of a true warrior. It was a path of control. It was a path of peace, but a dark figure from the past returned. This figure was Akuma. Akuma was Gukun's brother. He had embraced the Satsui no Hado. He became a demon. Akuma attacked Gukun. He left their master broken and near death. Akuma believed strength was everything. He saw compassion as a weakness. Ryu found his master. He saw what Akuma had done. A fire ignited inside him. It was not a fire of honor. It was a fire of pure rage. All of his training, all of his discipline. It all started to fade away. The whispers of the Dark Hado grew louder. They promised him the power to get revenge. They told him he could crush Akuma. He could make Akuma pay for his terrible crime. The desire for vengeance was a powerful poison. It began to corrupt his soul. He could feel the darkness calling to him. This was his new purpose. It was not about becoming a better fighter. It was not about finding inner peace. It was about revenge. Simple and total revenge. He would hunt Akuma down. He would use any power necessary to defeat him. The struggle inside him was immense. The warrior he was fought against the monster he could become. But the image of his fallen master was too strong. The anger was too great. Ryu started to walk a new path. It was a path shrouded in shadow. A path that led directly to Akuma. The anger inside Ryu reached its peak. It was a storm that he could no longer control. The Satsui no Hado saw its chance. It surged through his veins like a roaring river. His muscles tensed and grew larger. His skin took on a darker tone. A raw, violent energy burst from his body. It was a dark red aura. It swirled around him like a raging fire. This was no longer the noble warrior. This was something else. This was a being of pure, unrestrained power. He was a force of nature. His mind twisted and warped. Thoughts of honor and mercy disappeared. They were replaced by a single burning desire. The desire to destroy, to kill. His own voice sounded different in his head. It was deeper, harsher. It mocked his former self. It called his old ways weak. He felt an incredible power. It was more than he had ever known. Every punch felt like it could shatter a mountain. Every kick felt like it could split the earth. The power was intoxicating. It was terrifying. He was losing himself to the rage. He looked at his hands. They glowed with a sinister purple energy. This was the power of the Dark Hadoken. It felt natural. It felt right. He was no longer just Ryu. He was evil Ryu. His eyes burned with a red, demonic light. A hole of pure energy burned in his chest. It was a symbol of the emptiness inside him. It was a gateway for the dark power. He welcomed the transformation. He needed this strength. This was the only way to face Akuma, the only way to achieve his vengeance. With a final guttural roar, the change was complete. Evil Ryu stood tall. He was a terrifying sight. He was a demon born of grief and anger. He could feel Akuma's energy signature in the distance. It was a beacon of darkness calling to his own. He did not hesitate. He did not think. He only moved. He ran with incredible speed. The ground cracked beneath his feet. He was a missile of pure hatred. He was aimed directly at his target. The final battle was about to begin. The world would tremble. Evil Ryu found Akuma on a volcanic island. The air was thick with sulfur and heat. Akuma stood waiting. He had a confident smirk on his face. He could feel the familiar energy. "So the boy has finally embraced his true nature," Akuma growled. He did not seem surprised. He seemed pleased. Evil Ryu did not speak. He answered with action. He launched forward. He threw a Dark Hadoken. It was a ball of purple and black energy. It screamed through the air. Akuma simply slapped it aside. The explosion rocked the island. The fight began. It was not a martial arts contest. It was a brutal exchange of power. Fists met fists. The shockwaves shook the volcano. Evil Ryu was relentless. He attacked with wild fury. He used his dark energy in every strike. He performed a spinning hurricane kick. It was wreathed in dark flames. Akuma matched him blow for blow. He was more experienced. He was more in control of the Satsui no Hado. He moved with a deadly grace. He was a master of this dark art. Evil Ryu was just a beginner. Akuma was stronger. He landed a heavy blow. It sent evil Ryu flying into a rock wall. For a moment, Ryu's human consciousness surfaced. He felt the pain. He saw Akuma standing over him. Akuma prepared a final attack, the Goshoryuken, a rising uppercut infused with immense dark power. It was the technique he used to defeat Guken. This sight fueled evil Ryu's rage even more. The darkness surged back. It pushed away the pain. It pushed away the fear. It gave him even more strength than before. Evil Ryu roared. He pushed himself off the wall. He met Akuma's rising punch with his own. Their fists collided. The island itself seemed to scream. A massive explosion of dark energy erupted from the point of impact. It sent both fighters flying backward. The ground beneath them cracked and split. Lava began to seep from the fissures. The battle was reaching its climax. It was a contest of wills. It was a fight to see whose darkness was stronger, whose hatred was more pure. The very island was being torn apart by their fight. The two demons rose from the rubble. They were both wounded, they were both tired, but their eyes still burned with killing intent. Akuma prepared his ultimate technique, the Shungoku Satsu, the raging demon. It was an attack that destroyed the soul. He glided forward. A trail of shadows followed him. He was going to end it, but evil Ryu did something unexpected. He did not try to block or dodge. He channeled all of his rage, all of his pain, all of his power. He channeled it into one final desperate attack. He unleashed a Metsu Hadouken. It was a version of his signature move, but it was corrupted and amplified by the Satsui no Hado. A massive beam of black and red energy shot from his hands. It was larger and more violent than any Hadouken he had ever created. It met Akuma's raging demon head-on. There was a blinding flash of light. The sound was deafening. The two ultimate attacks struggled against each other. For a moment they were perfectly balanced, a storm of pure destructive force. It was evil Ryu's raw, untamed rage against Akuma's mastered evil. Evil Ryu's rage was greater. His desire for vengeance was the fuel. It pushed his attack forward. The Metsu Hadouken overwhelmed the raging demon. It consumed Akuma completely. The explosion tore the peak of the volcano apart. When the smoke cleared, Akuma was on the ground. He was defeated, not dead, but broken. Evil Ryu stood over him. He had won, he had his revenge, but he did not feel victory. He felt nothing. The rage began to fade. The dark energy started to recede. He was left with a cold emptiness. He looked at his trembling hands. He looked at the defeated Akuma. He had become a monster to defeat a monster. He had used the very power that he swore to resist. The victory felt hollow. It was meaningless. He learned a powerful lesson on that broken island. Vengeance was a trap. It had led him down a path of self-destruction. True strength was not about giving in to rage. It was about controlling it. It was about rising above it. Ryu, the man, began to fight his way back. The path forward would be difficult. He had to reclaim his soul.